Good evening, you're watching India Today. I'm Gaurav Sawant. 14 suspected terrorists have been detained in the past 24 hours in a nationwide counter-terror sweep by intelligence agencies, the state police forces and the National Investigation Agency. Now there are fears of a big Paris-style attack in important metropolitan cities. This could be in Delhi, this could be in Mumbai, this could be in Bangalore, this could be in any important city in this country. There are raids that are being carried out even as you and I speak against these Islamic State and Lashkar-e-Taiba sympathizers. They are being detained in this country. On the target are Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The Republic Day parade. Terror suspects have been detained in Mumbai, in Bangalore, in Meerut, in Roorkee, in Hyderabad, and several raids are still on. Now, there are intercepts to suggest that different modules of at least 2 different terror groups are working to strike around the Republic Day parade. One taxi was hired in Pathankot. The driver's dead body was found this morning in Kangra. 3 Punjabi-speaking men are still missing. This is eerily similar to what happened just ahead of the Pathankot terror attack. When the Pathankot airbase was struck, these Pakistani terrorists had then crossed over from Pakistan into India. They got into a car, killed the driver and took that vehicle. Then they got into a police officer's vehicle that time, and now one police officer's beacon vehicle is missing. It's still untraced. India Today reporters have fanned out across the length and breadth of this country to get you this report.
A massive terror plot to bleed India. A clear Islamic State threat troubling the country for the first time, prompting the counter-terror body, the National Investigation Agency, to launch a nationwide crackdown. NIA and Intelligence Bureau sleuths swooping down on suspected ISIS sympathizers and sleeper cells in Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata and parts of Karnataka. Arresting terror operatives plotting multiple coordinated strikes before India's Republic Day. Thane terror suspect Mudabbir Mustaq was presented in an NIA court. 6 Islamic State suspects, including 4 from Bengaluru, were among those arrested. Arrests were also made in Maharashtra, Hyderabad and UP.
This is something which we are also worried about. We are also keeping a vigil, tracking them if there are any inputs from IB or maybe even our own intelligence agencies.
Security agencies fear lone wolf strikes in malls and a looming threat to several VVIPs, including French President François Hollande, chief guest on Republic Day.
I'm very grateful to the security forces in Delhi, and because we are, of course, working closely with them to prevent any action against the French delegation.
The Delhi police, meanwhile, sounded an alert over an Alto vehicle hired by a group of Punjabi-speaking people from Himachal's Kangra. The driver of the car has now been found dead.
ये 14th of January ये गाड़ी as per my information गगल एरिया है हिमाचल में, वहाँ से 3 नौजवानों ने हायर की थी जो कि पंजाबी बोल रहे थे वहाँ पे. उन्होंने पठान.
India's battle against the ISIS threat is well and truly on. Bureau Report, India Today.
The Delhi police has issued a terror alert regarding that missing Maruti Suzuki Alto. Now, that went missing in Pathankot. Punjabi-speaking men, they hired that Alto. The driver's dead body was found in Kangra. That vehicle is still missing, and those are the men who hired this vehicle. This morning, the driver's dead body was found. The vehicle has still not been found. The alert was issued after the taxi driver's body was recovered on the Kangra highway. The car was reportedly hired from Pathankot by 3 men, and this is the Delhi police alert that was issued, and the Delhi police requested people to come forward and share this alert as much as they could. That vehicle number HP01D 2440, that's the vehicle that's missing. So they may have changed the number plate, but this is eerily similar to what had happened just ahead of the Pathankot terror attack. Now there's another point here. In Pathankot, a police officer's official car was used by these terrorists to move. In Uttar Pradesh, 3 days ago, one senior police officer's beacon car, a Tata Safari with a blue beacon, that went missing, and that vehicle is still untraced. Now, is there a link? Is there a chain that links all these incidents? That's the big question.
14th of January ये गाड़ी एज पर माई इंफॉर्मेशन गगल एरिया है हिमाचल में, वहाँ से 3 नौजवानों ने हायर की थी जो कि पंजाबी बोल रहे थे वहाँ पे। उन्होंने पठानकोट के लिए हायर की, तो मैंने इंक्वायर किया मैटर, तो देन आई कम टू नो कि ये गाड़ी वहाँ से हायर की थी। डे बिफोर यस्टरडे उस गाड़ी के ड्राइवर की डेड बॉडी भी हिमाचल के एरिया में ज्वाली सब डिवीज़न है कोई शायद पड़ता, मेरे से यहाँ से करीब 40-50 किलोमीटर दूर, वहाँ से मिली है।
Joining me now on the broadcast is one of India's foremost counter-terror experts, former Director General of the Uttar Pradesh Police, Mr. Vikram Singh. Sir, welcome on the broadcast.
Thank you.
Sir, is it possible to link all these incidents, join the dots, and is the terror threat any more sinister this time than ever before?
You said it, Mr. Gaurav, that it could be more sinister than what it is today. Firstly, please see the sickening similarities between the earlier cases and these cases. Carjacking, killing of the driver and taking up the vehicle for a possible attack, possible forcible entry into a high security area. Now, you have certain leads and important leads at that. Never in the history of India have 16 arrests been made pan-India immediately before in the backdrop of 26 January. Now, with such wonderful leads, what is required to follow up, interrogate them thoroughly, and again relentless hot pursuit on the leads given by these accused.
Yes.
It is well known that the cadres of the Indian Mujahideen and the ex-Simi are behind all these disturbances, and therefore the sleeper cells, their supporters and these accused would give you very important leads.
Okay, that's a very important point you're making. So there is the Indian Mujahideen, there is the ex-Students Islamic Movement of India, SIMI. Now they get support from the ISI and Lashkar-e-Taiba in Pakistan. There is the added threat of the Islamic State and radicalized elements. And why am I linking up these groups? Because in Mumbai, once again, there's been an arrest, and this time, once again, of a software engineer. So he's an educated young man who's just been detained. And I want to quickly rush across to Mustafa Sheikh, who joins us from Mumbai. Mustafa, tell us more about the arrests that have taken place in Mumbai and certain detentions that we are being told about.
Yes, of course, Gaurav, I would like to remind you first that it was in Kalyan that 4 youths from India went to join ISIS in Syria, and nearby that in Mumbai, same Thane district near Kalyan, there has been another arrest yesterday night by the ATS, and now the accused has been handed over to NIA for further investigation. His name is Mudabbar Mushtaq Sheikh. He is a software engineer by profession. He was unemployed, aged around 40 years. He is told that he has been involved in recruiting for Islamic State. So that's a very big breakthrough for National Investigating Agency to get their hands on the recruiter. Also, it suggests that the 12 arrests taking place on the same day suggests that NIA was following some leads in these investigations, and then when they thought that this was the right time, or these accused were going to give some crime execution, that's when they arrested them together, and the link has been established. He has been sent to 3 days of transit remand to Delhi. Further investigation will reveal his role, but obviously this arrest and specific terror alerts say something before 26/11 that 26
Yes.
January, that the agencies are on alert, and there is a visible threat to Mumbai and other major parts of the country.
Right, exactly. These arrests are taking place just before these terrorists apparently were planning to strike, and that big picture we'll get to, but let's just join the dots. So there are some arrests that have taken place in Mumbai. I'm told there are some arrests that have taken place in Hyderabad, and I want to quickly go across to Pratibha Raman, who joins us from Hyderabad. Pratibha, tell us more about some detentions that have taken place. Who are these people? What's their background?
Well, in fact, all four of them, some of them were employed and some of them weren't, and all of them were monitored for at least about 6 months in terms of their activities. But then part of it all is that none of them were part of the same module. So considering that they could, the launch strike could happen at any given point in time, all of them were picked up at the same time by the NIA to ensure that such kind of attacks could be averted, number one. And number two, with the interrogation, you could find out who are the other members that would form a bigger network. And all these members seem to have been in contact with foreign agencies, as well as one particular person who has been involved in terror activities and has been a person who's in the most wanted list, and that is Mr. Faratullah Gora, and that is his name. So all these are being investigated as well as interrogated by the NIA.
Okay. So there are arrests that have taken place in Mumbai. There are arrests that have taken place in Hyderabad. I want to quickly go across to Bangalore, because it was in Bengaluru that the French consulate received a letter, a threat letter, Islamic State threat letter about the French President Francois Hollande's visit to India, to Delhi. Now he's also traveling to some other parts of this country, but Rohini Swami, who joins me from Bangalore, tells us more about the current arrests, Rohini, and the fact that Bangalore is very high on the terror radar. Who are these people who've been arrested?
Well, if you see, Gaurav, the largest number of people have been arrested in the country today has been in Karnataka. 4 in Bangalore, 1 in Mangalore and 1 in Tumkuru. But the interesting part is that we just heard Pratibha say that there's no connection between the 4 that have been arrested in Hyderabad. Interestingly, here in Karnataka, all the 6 of them, I'm told, have one common link, that they've all been either communicating or have been in touch with a man called Anzar Shah. Now, Anzar Shah allegedly had links with Al-Qaeda, and he also used to give sermons and he used to speak about Islam and hold quite fiery speeches in the state. Now that is one interesting link that has been seen here. But more importantly, all those people who have been picked up and who have been detained by the NIA in Karnataka, now some of them employed, some of them unemployed. The employed ones being software engineers also, one of them also being an engineering student dropout. So educated, again the same trend and the same pattern that we have seen through the kind of people and the suspects that have been seeing over the years now. Well-educated youths who have been indoctrinated and they are being recruited. The connection between these 6 in Karnataka and the man who has been arrested in Mumbai also has been, the NIA sources are speaking to me, have been saying there is definite connection between them. Now coming to the point about the threat letter. Yes, there was a threat letter that was sent to the French embassy, unnamed. The address was traced, but they couldn't find anybody in Chennai because that was a Chennai address. But yes, ever since that threat letter has come on the 11th of January, Karnataka and the city of Bangalore have been on high alert. I also spoke to the Bangalore Police Commissioner, and he had said that Bangalore as a city and Karnataka as a state, always being on the terror map, has always been on high alert. But since these events have been taking place, stitching this together is not difficult, but definitely one needs definitive evidence. And that is where the NIA and the other investigating agencies will help join the dots and put it together.
Stay with me, because there is very clear and present danger. Now, these terrorists and their sleeper cells, it appears, they have a pan-India presence. Security forces moving down, perhaps in the biggest anti-terror sweep that this country has seen even as we speak. And Kamaljeet Kaur Sandhu now joins me from Delhi. Kamal has been constantly speaking to her sources in the Ministry of Home Affairs. Kamal, the fact that the Mumbai police, when they produced this Mudabbir Sheikh in court, a transit remand was sought to bring him to Delhi. Why do they want him in Delhi? Why does he have to be interrogated in Delhi? Connect all these dots for us, Kamal.
Well, Gaurav, this is a very interesting case, and all the 5 arrested accused, as you rightly mentioned, will be brought to Delhi. There is a transit remand already in place. But what is more important is that the larger case of ISIS has been registered by NIA, and that is why they are actually investigating the case. And what is connecting all these people, whether we're talking about the 4 arrested earlier in Haridwar, whether we're talking about the arrests made today, 5 of them from different locations, Mumbai, Mumbai, Mangalore, we're talking about Andhra Pradesh. These are arrests which have been all connected by a man. This is a man called Shafi Armar. Now Shafi Armar is obviously from the Indian Mujahideen. He was one of the founders there, and he is the one who's working for ISIS, and he's the one who's looking at the media. So he's also looking at recruitment of people of ISIS, and he's been in touch with people in India. His own points person was Mudassir. He is the Mumra man who's been arrested, a man in his late 40s. He had done his software training in 2003. He's the one who's connected with the other 14 people. Now this is a very interesting case as to how they'd actually already had not only just laptops and multiple number of mobile phones each of these accused had, they had in places pipes, wires, timer, and low amount of explosives. Now whatever they were planning to do was obviously going to take place in a couple of months. What we've also been told is that they were actually looking for a training ground.
Okay.
They had maintained contact with each other through social network sites. We're talking about Facebook, we're talking about WhatsApp. That's how they were trying to get in touch with each other without being traced. But yes, this has been nipped in the bud. They will be questioned here in Delhi. They will be subjected to sustained interrogation, and more details would really stumble out.
Nipped in the bud perhaps is too soon to say, Kamal. Some cogs in that terror wheel may have been detained, but Mr. Vikram Singh, clearly the danger remains. The danger remains because all the dots haven't been joined just as yet.
Certainly not. What you are saying is just the tip of the iceberg. And now bringing them to Delhi is perhaps to conform, contradict and confront each other so that you get to the bottom of the story. Look, they are looking upon people who are part IT professionals, part mechanical engineers and part chemists, so that they can assemble low intensity bombs. As your reporter very rightly mentioned, that of the 16 arrests made, 4 in Hyderabad, 4 in Haridwar, 2 in Mumbai, 2 in Bangalore.
Correct.
Therefore it adds up to 16. And never in the history of India has so many been rounded up before the 26th of January. And therefore, what you see now is just the tip of the iceberg. The entire story has to unfold by relentless interrogation, confrontation, follow-up, and the leads that you would get. The recovery, bringing him to Delhi would be only indicative of the fact, so that the further leads that are given,
yes,
you can subject them to narco analysis and polygraph tests also.
And Mr. Jaydev Ranade, former Additional Secretary Raw, who joins me on the broadcast, sir, some explosives have already been recovered, we are told, in parts of western Uttar Pradesh, somewhere close to Meerut. Explosives were recovered today. This clearly is a race against time. Republic Day is just 4 days away, sir.
Absolutely correct. It is a race against time, but I think what the authorities are doing are looking at the entire gamut of modules and network that the ISS has been able to create, or its sympathizers have been able to create. So they are looking at 26th January as the immediate area of concern, immediate date of concern, but they are also trying to pick up whatever indicators they have to try and pick up the sleeper agents or the agents of ISIS spread across India. And don't forget that with French President Hollande coming here, I understand that there is a very high level of cooperation going on between the French, the Indian and also the American intelligence agencies, which would assist Indian intelligence in identifying and picking up even more such people who may have otherwise gone unnoticed.
Mr. Ranade, now the job for the intelligence agencies and the security agencies doubly difficult this time, because in the past, perhaps you would be tracing some of the calls back to Pakistan. You would know perhaps the threat comes from Pakistan. But if it's the Islamic State, are these self-radicalized lone wolf kind of elements that we are dealing with? Or is this the ISI that is very cleverly trying to just shift the blame to the Islamic State? But it's the same Indian Mujahideen, Lashkar-e-Taiba and ISI that is using the name of ISIS.
There is a very thin line between any of these organizations, the ISIS included. Their training camps are the same. You will notice that the Uyghurs who train in Al-Qaeda camps are also now fighting with ISIS. Similarly, a lot of Taliban elements and Lashkar elements and JEM elements are also fighting now with the ISIS. And similarly here, the ISIS through these outfits is trying to recruit Indians also to go and fight with them. Their videos which are being shown here are trying to recruit youngsters.
Yes.
And therefore it is something that will happen, but I would dare say that Pakistan will continue to be the base, the launch pad from which where these people will come, and we will certainly have evidence linking them directly to Pakistan, because that's where the handlers will be.
And the question also remains, Kamal, and you've been speaking to your sources in the Ministry of Home Affairs constantly, where are these terrorists getting their funds from? It's not possible to launch a terror strike across the length and breadth of this country, the magnitude to which we are, thinking that they're operating on, without money, without expertise. What are your sources telling you? Where are they getting the money and the expertise from?
Well, the arrests have been made in the last 24 hours and their investigation has to be still done. And all these accused need to be brought to Delhi, where they will be jointly and separately interrogated as well. They're saying what they found so far is 6 lakh rupees from Mudassir. They say it's a hawala money, and the money was being sent as far as they are concerned for explosions that they would have carried out. But the fact remains that they say this is just a small information that they've got. Remember the seizures that they made as far as laptops are concerned, their online activities concerned. They said the surveillance was not just limited to 1 or 2 months, but a couple of months, which is around 6 months or so. And then they had been tracking these activities. And remember, when that first arrest was made from Bangalore regarding ISIS, they've been on a lookout, around 150 men across India who've been chatting with ISIS, who've been posting ISIS posts across the websites, are ISIS sympathizers in a way. They've been actually under surveillance for quite some time, and in a tight operation which was manned by the IB itself, they are the ones who had actually indicated, and that's how NIA and the other ATS really came in. That's how they have identified, but they say much more needs to be found out, especially whether this money was something which was passed on. Did it come from Syria? Was it a foreign funding? These are things
and that
which
foreign
will be
funding,
into.
is it coming from Pakistan is the question, Mr. Vikram Singh, because the pictures, the pictures that we are about to put out is of that mock drill that was carried out at Delhi's upscale Khan market. So these terrorists have done a recce of some markets. Now, one problem that the security forces had faced in the hotels in Mumbai during 26/11, Mr. Vikram Singh, was that they hadn't recceed the area. But as far as that mock drill is concerned, they are now recceing those markets and carrying out mock drills there, sir.
Precisely, that is the requirement of the day, that they need to recce. They have to have the rehearsal and a backup for a backup. Look, the ISI's plan is a two-pronged agenda. Firstly, that they should give the impression that all terrorism in India is homegrown and not exported by Pakistan to India. Then Pakistan today has the reputation of being the epicenter of terrorism the world over. It would like to pass on that, yes, Pakistan is not, India is in fact the Gangotri of terrorism, and therefore the entire exercise to get recruits from India and give the impression that they are absolutely the radicalized youth who are indulging in terrorism.
Yes, and that is the fear. Instead of sending terrorists, just perhaps Pakistan will send a couple of masterminds from across and use local boys for this terror strike. And that is the fear. And that is why there's this roundup that's happening across the length and breadth of this country. The threat, from what sources tell us, is Pakistan's ISI. Now, calls that are being made this time, Mr. Vikram Singh, of course, are from Bangladesh. You know, that one intercept that we've also played out here on India Today that says the doctor is on his way with the medicines. Another intercept indicating that terrorists are already in the country. They just want to marry up with the local sleeper cells and get their explosives. So this means the timing of these raids are extremely crucial, sir.
Absolutely, and this should not come as a surprise to anyone. The Huji is a creation of Bangladesh, and ISI has a sizable presence and existence in Bangladesh also. They have their support system in Bangladesh, and it has a 3-tier system. The foot soldiers or the operatives, which you have been able to arrest, the sleeper cells, which are the conduit to help monetary and material, and third is the handler. In this case happens to be Amjad Shah, who seems to be providing the material, the finances, and the navigation part to the terrorists.
Yes. Now, in all of this, Mr. Ranade, do you see a link in the arrests that have taken place in Bangalore, the arrests that have taken place in Hyderabad, the arrests that have taken place in Mumbai, some detentions in parts of Uttar Pradesh, and that missing vehicle? From Pathankot, a taxi was hired. The driver's dead body was found this morning, but that vehicle is still missing, as are those 3 Punjabi-speaking men who hired that vehicle. And once again, we will put out pictures of the suspects, the Punjabi-speaking men who hired that vehicle, Mr. Ranade. Is there a link in all of this?
It's definitely a coordinated effort. And there would be a link in some of the cases. I'm not saying all. I think the people who've been picked up are part of a wider network which our authorities have been monitoring for a while. And as I said, with intensified coordination between 3 different countries now, there's probably even more intelligence that our people are working on. And therefore, it would make it difficult. However, let me just get back to one point that you did mention, and that was about funding.
Yes.
Or about the route via Bangladesh. The Bangladesh route has been used earlier also,
yes,
and our people are aware of it. And there are some madrasas which have been backed by the Jamaat and funded by the ISI, which has sprung up along the India-Bangladesh borders, and they've been in existence for a few years now. Those are the places where these people are housed and sent across. Similarly, the people from Pakistan. So I don't think we should feel that they will come directly only from Pakistan. They can use alternate routes, and that's what our people will be trying to figure out now.
Okay. And Rohini, when we talk about the situation in Bengaluru, so there have been some arrests. I mean, there was one man who was arrested who was the spokesperson for the Islamic State. But there were others who were Islamic State sympathizers, and one was apparently carrying out a recce for a lone wolf attack. Tell us what the Bangalore police is making of this situation.
Well, the Bangalore police as well as the Karnataka police in terms of the intelligence bureau are trying to keep a close watch. They have been doing that, and they have been giving all kinds of information that they have been receiving, especially when it comes to sleeper cells as well as active cells. Now Karnataka, in terms of it's not new in terms of the way terror has been in the face of the state. We have Bhatkal, which is one of the crucial areas where we have seen a lot of this kind of activities. We've also seen Mangalore, for that matter. We've also seen an arrest that took place today. And then we have Bangalore also, and time and again where even when Kamaljeet was talking about the first classic case of what was called armchair terrorism, where Biswas, who was actually sitting in Bangalore using his laptop, using social media, but spoke and acted like as if he was a spokesperson of ISIS with thousands of followers. That was a wake-up call definitely for the Bangalore police. But since then, they've been closely monitoring people as well as their activities, and there's a special cell especially in the cyber crime police station also to monitor such kind of specific information that they get. But they're making one thing I can also tell you is that the city is on high alert, the state is on high alert, but as they're doing so, suspicious people are also being picked up and questioned and detained. With this happening just around with 26 Jan, just 4 days away, and with just recently that we saw that the threat letter that came to the French embassy. So Bangalore and Karnataka also one on the highest of alerts that has seen the last couple of years.
And Hyderabad has been hit by terror several times in the past, as has Mumbai. Both the cities on a state of high alert. But in Hyderabad, is it just restricted to detaining some people? Are there widespread arrests that are taking place? Is there a fear of a lone wolf attack in Hyderabad also, as was feared earlier? Because some wanted to fight for the Islamic State, Pratibha, and they were living in Hyderabad and they wanted to take the Hyderabad, Nagpur, Srinagar route to join the Islamic State.
Well, in fact, Gaurav, as far as Hyderabad is concerned, yes, it is not new to the terror radar. But also the new trend that we see is the fact that young, fragile minds, in fact, just a month ago, we had noticed that some of these youngsters who were actually stopped at Syria because it was just before they could set their foot into the terror organization soil, and it was in places like Syria where they were counseled and sent back. So many of these young, fragile minds are manipulated and most often actually coerced into getting into this kind of activities. So yes, Hyderabad has become a new hub in terms of capturing these young and fragile minds. But in a sense, Hyderabad is not new to terror attacks. Yes, we have witnessed several such attacks over here.
Yes.
So yes,
There's
Hyderabad
one
is put
aspect-
on a high alert, especially with regards to 26 January.
There's one aspect, Mr. Ranade, I want to talk to you about. After what happened in Peshawar, the attack on the Army Public School in December 2014, and the recent attack on a college in Charsadda. Now, is there fear that we guard VAVPs, we guard all our very vital assets and vital points? We perhaps do not remember to protect schools or colleges as much. Is there fear of terrorists using something like that in India? Is that a genuine threat?
Well, yes, and particularly where the ISIS is involved, or in fact any of these organizations, each one is more vicious than the other. They're all looking for something which will create a sensation, which will really hit the state hard, and certainly schools and educational institutions will be a prime target. But I think they might go in for something where there is a greater loss of life or where there is a greater impact on the state. So let's see. It's difficult with the number of targets available to a terrorist to really secure each and every one. So we have to, I'm sure authorities are trying to get more intelligence and refine the information that they already have.
And perhaps, Mr. Vikram Singh, last word to you, stay a step ahead of these terrorists and perhaps catch them before they can strike, or before they can, various teams can even meet up and marry up for that big terror strike that we fear.
Precisely, Mr. Gaurav, you said it, that it is proactive approach to policing and intelligence collection. The Thana, which is the first repository in response to such issues, they should be sensitized. Force multipliers should be given to them, sanitized, sensitized, and every actionable intelligence. Look, ISI is an international organization. If we compartmentalize it to the states and districts, then it is almost be suicidal. Let every intelligence be shared and acted upon.
Okay. Every policeman in this country has been told that there is imminent danger of a terror strike. But it's not just every policeman who needs to be alert. You and I, every Indian citizen at this point of time needs to be alert. Anything untoward, report to the police. There is clear and present danger. For the moment, I would like to thank all my guests for joining us here on the broadcast. We will continue to track that story very closely.
The centre, because Prime Minister Narendra Modi could reshuffle his cabinet, we are told, if not by the end of this month, but certainly before the budget session. Sources telling India Today that Prime Minister Modi
description done, and he'll tell you what to do with it, how to go about it, and whether it's worth your money or not. Over to you, Sahil Sina.
I have my jacket back on, which